It was a windy night in the business district of Lagos, Nigeria. This is Femi, a 33-year-old computer programmer and a music enthusiast who enjoys hanging out with friends during football matches over some bottles of beer and fancy talk amongst his peers. Femo, as most of his friends would call him, is built like a model. His dark skin reflects true African beauty. His sonorous voice echoes sounds of wittiness each time he speaks, for he is intellectually sound and athletic in body shape. Lagos Nawa. He told himself at the entrance of a bar somewhere around the Obolen area of Lagos, Nigeria. His dismay for the windy night made him feel uneasy about his aborted plans for the night. He led a routine life on Saturday's house sanitation, gym, and football rendezvous with friends. This weekend became a mission impossible because he got an emergency call from a potential client who had him on the hook for a mouth-watering deal. This client had him leave home unplanned because of how huge the money was. His mind is focused on the money he hoped to get from the deal. Leaving his house somewhere on the mainland to Victoria Island around 3 p.m. for a meeting scheduled at 5 p.m. made him almost blame himself for agreeing to meet up on a weekend. The fact that he wouldn't be able to play and watch football with friends at their rendezvous spot somewhere in Ikeja made him unhappy. His only cradle of compensation was that although the client came late, the deal went as smoothly as planned and anticipated. Chief, how far now? Give me one bottle of cold beer there. He pointed his finger towards the standing chiller behind the bar. He sat down and looked around while admiring the local bar and how fancy the decorations were. The ambience was peaceful with nice portraits of music legends hanging on the wall. Words of wisdom are scripted on paintings on the walls. The entrance looked shabby, but the inside was a work of art. There were whispers of the live bands preparing to perform on the stage and foreigners chatting with acquaintances over bottles of alcohol and shisha smokes. The environment was quite a vibe, he thought to himself. When the music started, people started singing and dancing to the songs. The energy was intensely sweet, fanning a desire to mingle and shuffle around the fun night. The last time Femi was here, the place was recklessly abandoned and now it seems it's in its glory place and he fell in love with the decorations. There comes Amaka, a writer and an editor of a local magazine. Her slim curvy shape made her almost impossible not to fall in love with. She is witty and fiercely beautiful in her attempt to stay pretty in the glorious display of her fair complexion. She understood what it felt like to be a young pretty woman in her late 20s. By circumstances, a stroke of luck had given her a lot of frogs with their kisses of dissent and lies cemented in their lips. She wonders sometimes if she is the problem. She thought of her Prince Charming always coming someday. But life has given her nothing but frogs. Maybe Prince Charming has lost his way from Wonderland with the glass slippers. Her many disappointments had her kept to herself, pushing limits to what she does and who she does it with. Her beauty, she thought, sometimes made her a target for playboys. That night she intended to have fun watching her friend Thelma sing with her bands without thinking through the scopes of life. At the bar, she sat watching her friends sing in her angelic voice. She could feel herself piloted by the rhythm of the good music. She ponders those times she had loads of fun, those days love felt right without blemishes. Femi noticed her beauty, but firstly he feared being blown away. There is no such thing as a halfway crook, he thought to himself before deciding to shoot his shot. He looked at her without flirting, hoping to spark up a conversation. When two people feel the same, love is sweet. I'm ready for a drink now, what would you suggest? Amoka asked the bartender behind the bar. Fidgeting through her question, the bartender thought of the many drinks for a lady while busy making drinks for other guests. Pink lady or margarita, the sonorous voice sent a signal to her. Detailing, he had broken down the process to Amoka was amazed by his knowledge of cocktails. Plus, his voice reverberated through her mind, painting pictures of how handsome he was, displaying pictures of them together. I'm Femi. But you can call me Femo. They introduced themselves and shared some chit-chats. He had directed the mixologist on how he wanted her margarita to taste. Wow. How did you know this? She asked him in disbelief of how good the drink tasted and how he was drinking beer and why not cocktails or whiskey. Do you enjoy drinking beer? She asked him with keen interest. Some sort of tradition between my friends and I. Every Saturday we watch football and drink just beer. I couldn't make it today with them, so I'm having it here alone. She perceived him as a realist. One of the traits she fancies in a man. She would laugh at his crazy jokes. She sips from his beer glass. Phew. How do you guys drink this? She mumbled in agreement with how weird it tasted. The wet night became a mystery to both of them. Femi, who was unhappy for missing out on boys' hangout, found himself crazy into a total stranger. Amoka felt it was a dream, having the time of her life in a very unusual place. She does drink occasionally but never frequents bars. I could tell how beautiful your lips were. I could tell what makes you different from every other lady in this place. You are beautiful and fun to be with. A beautiful enigma, full of life, funny and enchanting, Femi told her, leaning closer to her face. He could feel her hot breath right on his face. What do you think makes me special? She asked in excitement, hoping to understand him better for all he said. We spend most of our time searching for what's right in front of us. How crazy does it get waiting for a plane at a bus stop? He said and planted a soft kiss on her forehead. It was almost 10 p.m. The rain had stopped. It was time to hit the road again. Femi was ready to go back home but was sure he wanted Amoka home with him. Have you ever had Thai fried rice? Fancy a dinner by yours truly. We could live here and make more memories. Come with me if you wanna live. He told her, mimicking the line from the movie Terminator. Amoka could feel herself glued to this stranger she met a few hours ago. She could feel herself wanting to do nasty things with him. Above all, he felt like a real one. She had two choices to make. Go home with her friend. Or go home with this handsome stranger. She decides to go home with Femi. She had him wait while she went to her friend and told her she was off but would call her later. So she left with Femi in his other taxi. The trip to Magodo was fun. Femi told her many things that made her laugh. She could perceive his genuinity from the words he said. Unwavering by the fact that she had only had a one-night stand way back in university, and that was a night she never thought of. The last night she found herself in bed with a total stranger. He was a total jerk, so she vowed never to do it again. But Femi was slick with words and refreshingly original. His approach to matter made her think of him as an anomaly. Welcome to my home. Mikosa, Sukosa. Femi welcomed Amoka into his flat and ushered her in after opening the door. Wow, nice place you got here, she told him, admiring the design and decoration of his place. She likes the feeling of being treated as a lady. This guy is on point, she thought to herself. Tea or wine? His sonorous voice after he had her seated on his couch. Wine it is, she replied. They had a wonderful time chit-chatting over wine and quality discussion. He had her on his chest talking about how adulthood seems like a mess, comparing those good days of being young and free. In the kitchen, he went and made a delicacy of Thai fried rice for her. Food is ready, nobody is going to work tomorrow. We just might take the night off from sleep and toast to a sweet life and better times. Femi announced, holding a bowl of rice before dropping it on the table. They had a late dinner prepared by Femi. He had boasted about his culinary skills, but that boastful talk turned out to be true. Soft music from the 90s decorated the air while they had dinner, gisting and eating. Babe, you know it's a bad habit to eat and talk, right? Amoka said, chuckling. The night was fun. Dinner tasted delicious and the movie felt like the best thing to do. At the dinner table, he told her what he thought about her. Babe, that moment I saw you, it felt like there was a light shone on my dark soul. The moment I heard your voice, it felt like life came back into my life. This moment I want it forever. At this moment I want to have it on repeat. You are fine like a wine, a beautiful sensation, contagious and graceful in your grace. If you were a mermaid, I'd kiss you. If you were a wine, I'd drink you. If you were a movie, I'd watch you every day. I have never felt this way for a stranger before. You got me high without drugs. A sweet sensation worthy of sweet. Leaning to her face, he had whispered these things, then planted a kiss on her lips. Belief is dead to doubts. At this moment Amoka left herself vulnerable in the arms of a total stranger. She never thought of falling and basking in the euphoria of the moment. But this feeling is refreshingly original, and she let her guards down. The table talk switched to the soft feather sofa. His back rested on the sofa while she leaned right side to his chest. I think the best decision I made in the last years of my life was accepting to meet up with a client today. The rain came watering the planted sweet seed of faith by keeping me exactly where you might be, he told her. Softly Amoka pulled her back from his chest, looking into his eyes with blazing desires. Her soft pink lips await his gentle kisses. Pushing his face into her was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Gentle, he pulled her closer and pressed his lips against hers. Kissing her passionately, he had captured her soul toward to his. Moaning, she could feel herself aroused by his kisses. The longer they kissed, the deeper she fell into his arms. Like a lamb prepared as an offering, she offered herself as a sweet savor for love. The rumbling sound of thunder decorated the atmosphere with its lightning, which made their lovemaking moment that of fairy tales, almost too good to be true. Stay tuned for part 2 of this story, The Morning After. Kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'd like to hear from you. Drop a comment on what you think about this story. See you in the next episode.